Hello there! Welcome to How to Access ELAR Documents in Eduphoria. Today we're going to look at the Pasadena ISD Eduphoria website, and you'll get a model of how to pull up all the important documents you'll need for lesson planning and all kinds of wonderful things like that. So let's get started. Okay, welcome. The first thing you're going to need to do is open up a web browser, and then you can do a couple things. You can just go to eduphoria.pasadenaisd.org, and I'm logged in, so I'm going to log off so I can show you how to log in. So you put in your district username and password and then sign in, and then it's going to look like this. So you've got all kinds of alerts and what workshops you're registered for right here, and if you are entering your lesson plans in Eduphoria, you can access them right here. But what we're going to do to access the curriculum documents and that kind of thing is go to Forethought, which is over here on the left. So I'm going to double click it. No, there it goes. Okay, so now I'm in my lesson planner, and that is the right place to be. So right here, these are all the people who've ever shared their lesson plans with me, but I'm not going to look at those. I'm going to head over to the left, and there's a little tab, and it says Scope and Sequence, and I'm going to click that. And then it brings up this little thing here. So I'm going to go to Intermediate because we are in intermediate school. And I'm going to hit that, and then I go down to English, and I just click English, and let's pretend we are English Language Arts and Reading grade 7. So I'm going to click that, and now all the things pop up for English Language Arts and Reading grade 7. So the first little tab here is Course Documents. So I can click on any of these sub things to look at what's in here. So I've got Year at a Glance. If I click that, then it changes over on the right here, and there's like nothing here, so why do I care? Well, there is something there. So here's what it is. See down here where it says grade 7 reading, YAAG, that means Year at a Glance. So if you click here, there's an attachment right down here. I'm going to double click the attachment, and it downloads to my computer, and I can click it, and it's going to come up. I'm going to press Enable Editing so it doesn't look so weird. And now I have my Year at a Glance for 2015-2016, and it just tells me which TEKS or SEs I am going to need to make sure my students have mastered for each 6 weeks. These are the TEKS that will be tested on the CBA. So it's a really good document to have because you need to know what you're doing ahead of time. You can also look at CBA blueprints the same way. So CBA 1 blueprint, I click on that, and then over here there's the little attachment, and the reading blueprint is over here, and the writing blueprint is over here. So I'm a reading teacher. I'm going to double click here, and it's going to pull up the blueprint, and there it is. So I say Enable Editing, and I look, and now I know for each student expectation how many questions are on the test, what percentage of the test it's worth, and what kind of question it is. So it's a root question, so I know I'm going to need to teach my kids roots, and there are going to be 3 questions on characters, so we'll definitely need to hit characterization that 6 weeks. It tells you how long the test is intended to be, because it's not fair to give kids, some kids get extra time and some kids don't unless it's in their IEP. And it also has a scaled scoring guide, so I know when I look at my data, if the kid got 8 questions right on this test, that counts as a 53, but in the grade book it would look like a 73. So all that helpful information you can see right in there. Oh, that's the document I already had open on my desktop. That's okay. All right, now let's scroll down and see what else is in here. So reading resources, here I've got my non-negotiables. That's something that we went over in this training, but oh my gosh, you had about 40 million things thrown at you during this training, and maybe you don't remember the non-negotiables. Well, that's okay. You hop down here, you can click on Chunk and Jot, and then there are examples and directions and that kind of thing. So if you lost your paper, or you spilled a bottle of water on your binder or whatever, you can get these handouts again, and you'll be able to access them like that all year, no matter where you are, even at home if you have internet at home. Okay, so any kind of resource like that is available in here. You can also get some of your textbook information, your login information and that kind of thing. If you want to log into the online version of your textbook, you can download that. You've got PLC planning guides, so your readiness standards, you know, you don't have to make these from scratch every time. You just double click down here and pull up the document, and ta-da! There it is. You can print this out and be prepared for your PLC, and your team will be so impressed with your readiness and organization and all that kind of good stuff. So there are lots of awesome things that you can find in Eduphoria. You can also get your guidelines for each 6 weeks. So this is the SWAG, or 6 weeks at a glance, and this is a little more detailed than the year at a glance. So it's got really great information, guiding questions, the non-negotiable strategies, if in case you, again, we put them everywhere so you don't forget. Performance tasks for the kids, how do you know that they're getting it? And then, so that's a really helpful thing to bring to team planning as well. It's super, super helpful. Even the model lessons and suggested resources. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm a brand new teacher, I've never taught 7th grade reading before, what the heck? How am I supposed to know which story to use? Well, we've got some suggested text in here. Not that you absolutely have to use these, but just in case you don't have something in mind already and you're not sure what direction to head in, you can take a look, and there are some items that are in the textbook that you could use to teach any of these student expectations or TEKS or all that kind of thing. There are even model lessons in here that you can take a look at for inspiration. You can click on the model lesson and double click and pull it up, and it'll give you an idea of a way you could approach, and it's got all the good things like introduction and exit tickets and that kind of thing. So those are good to look at either for inspiration or just if you're really stuck and you're not sure where to go. It's not a bad place to start. So I'm going to stop here for a moment because it appears that my Eduphoria has shut down. Okay, welcome back. So anytime you're using blended technology, you should be aware that your Eduphoria may shut down, that your website might shut down, but that's okay. We're just going to pick up where we left off and get going. So I'm back to scope and sequence and intermediate and English, and we were in English Language Arts and Reading grade 7. And here we go. So you can see there are resources in here for every 6 weeks, including pre-AP extension with laying the foundation resources and things for grammar and that kind of thing. You can also find resources for accommodations in case if you have students who need special ed strategies in your class. There are resources there. There are also ESL instructional strategies, which are really important to help kids who struggle with language, which they definitely do, especially in English Language Arts and Reading. You also have your TEKS in here. So there are a couple different places you can access your TEKS, but this is one. And it's really helpful to go in here and you can click on one and you can get the standard clarification, because especially if you're new to teaching or new to teaching in Texas, our standards are not the same as Common Core. Texas has its own standards. So it helps you to kind of break them down to look at these standard clarification documents. So that's a pretty great resource as well. And there we go. So we're going to scroll all the way down here. You also have your ELPs in here, which are your English language proficiency standards, and that's for students for whom English is not their first language. And so we want to make sure that all students' language needs are being addressed, and you will get further training on the ELPs and language and content objectives, but we do need to be addressing language, speaking, writing, listening, and that kind of thing in class every single day, every single period. So those are some really great resources available in Eduphoria. Okay, I want to show you one more thing that's pretty cool, and it will save you some emails to the whole staff because there are some really wonderful resources available to you that require usernames and passwords. So if we scroll all the way down to the bottom, under high school it says Other. So you click Other and then go to Library, Electronic Resources, and click Electronic Resources, and then click it again. And this has your username and password for things like Brain Pop and Brain Pop Junior and Discovery Education Streaming and your Encyclopedia Britannica and the library catalogs and that kind of thing. And those things are so awesome. We have these great resources that the district pays for, and it's just sometimes like with all the different usernames and passwords that you have, you might forget and really want the Brain Pop sign on and you can't remember what it is. So you can go into Eduphoria and get all of your passwords, usernames and passwords for that. So that saves you from sending your whole team or whole staff an email. Does anyone remember the Brain Pop password? And it's a really handy thing to know. So we hope that you have a great time teaching this year and that you use all the wonderful things in Eduphoria that will support you and support your students' learning. Have a great year.